Hello my friends and welcome back to Greater Bait, the absolute greatest series on YouTube. Now, I just want to start by saying thank you guys for the support on episodes 1 and 2 now, which are both out. Definitely will continue this series, and of course, as I said in the previous videos, I'm going to keep picking cars that you guys suggest in the comments, because, you know, that's what makes this series fun. And so today I brought two very cool cars, absolutely amazing, both of them, and I'm very excited to share both of them with you guys. Two more things, I suppose. Number one is that I bought a new headset, so if the audio quality is significantly worse, you'll know why. And second off, the two cars that we have picked for today are very solid contenders for some of the greatest cars in the game. One of them being very solid contender for the actual best overall car in the game. So cannot wait to get to covering them. So if you guys like this content, leave a subscribe, please. I would very much appreciate it. Now let's move on to the first car, the Noble M400, and let's start by seeing what it can do in terms of drifting, and boy can it do. This is by far and wide the best drift car I have ever tested so far. Now, at the time of me recording this, I have done 8 vehicles. This is the 5th one, but I have recorded 2 more episodes worth of, you know, clips, and you know, this would be the 5th one, but I've actually just done 8, and this is easily the best one by far. Here I got a 144 dead, and this run is a 144.2. Absolutely amazing car. It was meta for a while, so no wonder. It transitions very smoothly, very quickly. It's got a ridiculous amount of power and acceleration. It's just fantastic, and it is probably lucky enough to be tested on one of the zones that it does better on as opposed to others, but I feel like it's one of those cars that will do best on pretty much any zone. So yeah, very good. 9 out of 10 for sure. Absolutely amazing car. Would definitely recommend it. In terms of top speed though, not bad either. Another, you know, great car. It benefits from having very good aero and quite a bit of power. So I think it reaches 465, which is 288, 289. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Definitely a fast car, way above the average. This is where it shines though, acceleration. Now you're going to see Travis's run again. Thank you for providing us with consistency on this channel. This car did a 12.1, which is pretty ridiculous. This is probably in the top 10 or 15 fastest cars in the game in terms of acceleration. So yeah, a solid 9 out of 10 again. Very cool. Just look at that time. Low 12.1. Okay, grip. This is where I was a little bit disappointed, but not very, because while this was also the fastest car I have tested so far on this track, it's going to get a 12.8, I'm pretty sure, which is just ridiculous. 42.8, which is just ridiculous. It's like 4 seconds quicker than the McLaren F1, which I thought was pretty decent. It's not insanely grippy by any means. It does the job. It's grippy, but not that grippy. What saves this car is the stability, and above all else, the acceleration, man. It is just so quick. It shoots out of corners insanely fast. So there's a 42.9. all right, and yeah, immediately the next lap it hits a 12.8. Sorry, not 12.8. What the fuck is wrong with me? It hits a 42.8. Ridiculously fast. It is absolutely safe by the acceleration, but you're gonna notice this. It's going to be a pattern for pretty much every single car. If the car is quick in terms of acceleration, it'll do good in pretty much everything else, because acceleration dictates a lot of things in this game. That includes grip, sadly, because while this car is not particularly grippy, it did a ridiculous time. So yeah, I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. I would have given it an 8, but it also holds a couple world records on Rivals, so yeah, 8.5. And a very similar situation happens when I tested it for dirt. So again, not very grippy. As you can see, it slides quite a bit. They did use rear aero in this clip, but you're just not seeing it because it fell off again. I don't really like the fact that I have to clarify that, but people are gonna comment it, I feel like. So yeah, it uses the rear arrow. I don't know. It's tricky. It's a quick car. It's super quick, and that makes it a bit unstable on dirt. But that also makes it really, really fast. So I got a 58.2 flagged, which means this car can easily get into the 57s. However, I just didn't test it for long enough. I try and test all these cars equally in terms of time, so I don't spend too much on time on one as opposed to the other, so it's, you know, it's fair. And I only did a couple of laps, but yeah, I gave it an 8.5 again, very similar. And if, yeah, I don't know, it's great, but it's not absolutely amazing. So if we look here, it absolutely dominates this spreadsheet that I put up. So 43 out of 50 for an average of 8.6 out of 10, which is just ridiculous. This is easily one of the best overall cars in the game. Could be the overall best, although there are two others that I want to test in the upcoming episodes, so we'll find out then. But yeah, let's move on to the next one, which is the Honda Acura NSX, suggested by none other than Killian himself. And Killian, you'll be happy to know that this car is not only good at road racing, but also at drifting. It is actually pretty good. Now, I'm not surprised. This car is very, very well balanced, and it's got good power. It's pretty light for what it is. It's not amazing by any means, but it is definitely good. So I can't remember exactly what I got with it when I did, but this one was pretty clean here. Didn't do a lot of mistakes. I feel like I messed up the end here a little bit, but I still managed a 143, and I think the PB is a 143.2, so it got very, very similar results to the Bone Shaker that I tested last week. And I mean, at the end of the day, they also have very similar stats. They both weigh just above a ton and have the exact same amount of power. This, however, was a lot more pleasant to drive, but in the end, they got very similar results, so I give it the same grade that I gave the Bone Shaker, 7.5. Very solid, very respectable. Would definitely recommend as well. So yeah, now, in terms of top speed, it is definitely faster than the Bone Shaker by quite a bit. It isn't amazingly fast, but it is what you would expect for this amount of power and a above average drag coefficient. So I only did one run, as I do with all cars, and it got a 460 dead, right? Which puts it at about 7.5 out of 10. Clearly above the average, but, you know, not amazing by any means. Acceleration is a bit of a letdown. It doesn't have a ridiculous amount of power like other cars do, so it won't do amazingly well. But it still pulled a 12.6. Again, thank you, Travis, for testing this out for me. I gave it a 6.5. It was a bit quicker than the McLaren and the Supra, so yeah. Now, grip. This is where you would expect this car to be the best at, and you wouldn't be wrong, I suppose. It is... Now, it has roughly the same amount of grip as the Noble, in my opinion. It has a little bit more when maxed out, of course, but it lacks the acceleration. It lacks the oomph that drives the Noble crazy out of the corners. This car just sort of it walks out of them, if that makes sense. It was almost 3 whole seconds slower than the Noble, which obviously is a bit of shame because this car is much more popular for world records in S1 than the Noble. But you know, that's just because that's how power builds work. But I think I still ended it with a 47.4, so that's about 2.5 seconds slower. Not too bad for sure. Like, it's definitely the second fastest car I've tested so far, and I am going to bump the ranking up a little bit, just because it holds as many world records as it does as a power build. So I had quite the fun testing this, for sure. The Noble was obviously overall a bit better, but this car is no slouch whatsoever. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I wouldn't recommend building it for grip. It is definitely one of those cars that you should do as a power build. So yeah, 7.5 out of 10 I think is very good according to both the time and what it can do. Now, off-road. This is quite interesting. I didn't expect this car to do good. Honestly, it did better off-road than it did on-road when maxed out, but I mean, I'm noticing a trend here with these stable super slash hyper cars. They get very, very good times off-road, but you know, off-road really utilizes the absolute most potential of the car when maxed out, as opposed to grip, where you know, cars usually cap out at a lower class, and off-road is not really like that. So it did very well. It did a 59.1, which puts it like half a second slower than the Noble, as you can see here. And I decided as a result to give it a very respectable 8 out of 10, which is more than grip, but that's because the results are inclining me to do so. I don't know, that's just how it is. So if we look here, the NSX pulled a 37 out of 50, which is a 7.4 out of 10 average. Very solid. It barely beats out the McLaren F1. So Killian, you can rest assured this is better than the F1, which I very much praised in the last episode. But yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I didn't expect some of the things here, especially this off-road one with the NSX. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you with episode 4 later this week.